Hello, everyone. Welcome to our March meal prep club. We're going to wait like 1 to 2 minutes and see if like a few more people join. But I thank you for being here. Today we're making my pesto chicken pasta salad. Just a little housekeeping. I already prepped my pasta as well as my chicken just because I didn't want us to all have to be on here for like 20 minutes while the chicken's cooking. So I already cooked my chicken, but what I did was I took chicken breast. I took 1 pound of chicken breast and I just put a little olive oil on it. I use about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. I don't always exactly measure that, but that's how much I wrote in the recipe. And then I do a little spice rub. So I do a mix of garlic powder, Italian spices, salt, black pepper, red pepper flakes, and then I squeeze a little lemon juice on it because I feel like the acidity in the lemon really brings the whole recipe together and it really makes this chicken flavorful. So that's all I did. Then I pop it in the oven at about 400 for about 20 minutes.
Sounds like camera here. I can't.
You can't hear. Interesting. We even have the microphone. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, say yes. If you can't hear me, then no one will answer.
Yep. Diane says he can hear you.
Weird. Okay. If anyone's having trouble hearing, I don't know, it might be on your end potentially. Maybe you need to turn up your volume. I'm hoping the microphone's on and connected. I think it should be. I actually have the microphone on this time. I did remember, so that's a good thing. If you do have any other issues throughout, either technical wise or non-technical wise, you can definitely put a little comment in there, and Megan's here and she can definitely read it out to me and we can try to troubleshoot together. But as I was saying, I baked my chicken ahead of time. So if you haven't already done that, I recommend doing that right now. Just prep that and pop that in the oven, and then it really won't impact this that much because we're going to be prepping the veggies together anyways. I'll just maybe speed mine up a little bit more than yours might take. And then what I also did already is I did already cook some of my pasta. So I actually just cooked a little bit more because I realized I didn't cook enough. So just let me drain that. But we're going to be using sorry, I have my recipe over here just because I haven't memorized every single one of my recipes yet. But we're using about 227 grams of dry pasta, which is equivalent to about 8 ounces. Or if you're using chickpea, it's about one box. So today our sponsor for our recipe of the month is Chickpea Pasta. They've been so generous to give one lucky winner. So anybody that makes this recipe at any time during the month of March and enters our giveaway will be entered in the chance to win a variety pack of Chickpea pasta. So if you haven't heard of Chickpea, it's a gluten-free brand that is a chickpea pasta brand. So it's all high protein, high fiber, and amazing for meal prep recipes because I find this is a brand out of every chickpea pasta I've tried that actually holds its shape. So you can see here, I cooked these already, and these are the shells, and they're still holding their shape. I find a lot of times with chickpea pasta, they get very mushy or they fall apart very easily. So this is the recipe. I always use chickpea pasta. I've been using chickpea pasta for this specific recipe since I first made this recipe, and I made it probably about 5 years ago for the first time. This was my very first pasta salad on my blog. It's probably still one of my most popular ones. It's a great meal prep option because it's not a ton of prep, but you're still getting a balanced option that's going to have fiber, protein, and veggies. So it's great for a full balanced meal rather than just a side, which is what I always try to strive for whenever I make any type of pasta salad. So let me just go drain the rest of my pasta. Everybody can grab their ingredients. If you haven't already prepped your chicken, go ahead and do that. And if you haven't already boiled your water for your pasta, go do that now and then add your pasta in once it's boiling. Then you can drain it and set it aside and allow it to cool. So I'll be 1 second. My other tip with pasta for pasta salad is once it's done boiling, Immediately strain out the hot water and rinse it with cold water. Gonna put this here for now. Immediately rinse it with cold water. This just gets rid of all the starch so it won't clump together. If you use warm water, it will be more likely to clump together. So rinse it really well with cold water, and it just helps it spread out a little bit more so that you are making sure you're not getting big clumps of pasta in the pasta salad, because nobody wants that. Okay, so now my pasta is cooling, chicken is cooked. What we're going to do first is we are going to start prepping our veggies. So I actually have two options here. I have my little handy dandy chopper. I've definitely used this in the meal prep club before. I've also posted it on my stories many times. This is my go-to piece of equipment when I need to chop a bunch of veggies and want to do it really quickly. So I'll probably use this today for my onions and my cucumbers. And then for my cherry tomatoes, I'm just going to use a sharp knife. And then also for the spinach, I'll probably also use the knife. So all you're going to need is some red onion, spinach, cherry tomatoes, cucumbers. That's the only.
Like the recipe be posted, so if you fall behind, you catch up.
Yeah, for sure. Megan can add it into the chat right now. Somebody just asked if the recipe can be posted. We always post it after too. It is also always on my website ahead of time. Like this recipe's been up there forever. But that's an amazing suggestion. Megan's popping that in the chat right now. So if you do fall behind on the recipe, you can easily just follow along.
And this will be posted, so you can always.
Yeah, this is also always posted. So if you aren't able to join us live for the entire time, if you aren't able to join us live at all, or if you just want to refer back to this and you kind of just want to watch it for the first time and then watch it live with me another time, it will be posted. The entire video will be there, and you can always leave comments on that too, and we can always respond. I will also post the recipe again in the Substack chat right after this. So lots of places to find the recipe, but Megan's popping it in the chat right now. Okay, Megan said it won't let her post the link to the recipe in the chat for this specific live, but if you go to the Substack chat, it's there. It's also posted on my Instagram stories right now as well, or you can also go to my website and just type in pesto chicken pasta salad, and it will also show up there. If you have any issues, Megan can troubleshoot, so just leave a comment. And also, if you have any other questions at any point about the recipe or meal prepping in general, just leave them in there and we can go over them while I'm prepping. Okay, so to start, we need about 1.5 cups of cucumber, or about 1 English cucumber. I've actually started using Persian cucumbers because I find they last a little bit longer in meal prep salads. English cucumbers are still great. I just typically have these on hand more often now just because I do tend to reach for them a little bit more. So we're probably going to use about 4. I think that usually is equivalent to an English cucumber. And to use my chopper, I usually just cut them in half lengthwise and then widthwise, so you get about 4/4. And then you can just pop them in here. You might be able to see Leo here. I'm not sure, but my dog is here. And then you just do that. And they come out in these perfect little cubes. So it's a really easy way of cutting a bunch of cucumbers at once without needing to put a ton of effort in. Okay, Megan said she put the recipe into the comments. Just a little update for you. We're always learning over here, so it's good. Okay, so we are doing that. This is the second cucumber. And then the good thing about this recipe is you really can use whatever you have on hand. So the base recipe is cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, feta, and spinach, and red onions are the main veggies I add. But you can also totally add jarred or canned artichokes or even fresh artichokes if you would like. You could also add extra like chickpeas or beans into the salad for extra fiber. You could add sun-dried tomatoes for a little extra flavor. You could add sweet bell peppers. That would be another amazing idea. The opportunities are really endless. And that's what I love so much about versatile salads like this. So this is what we're going to add. It's a little bit more than, this is probably more equivalent to 2 cups, but measure with your heart when it comes to vegetables because more micronutrients is always better. Okay, so we have our cucumbers in the bowl. And next up, we're going to add our cherry tomatoes. So for cherry tomatoes, it's about 1 cup of cherry tomatoes, which is usually about 3/4 of a little pint like this. But if you want to use the whole thing, you totally can. And for these, I usually just cut them in half. If you like smaller little bites of cherry tomatoes, you can cut them into quarters like this. I typically do use cherry tomatoes instead of like Roma tomatoes or beefsteak tomatoes because I find similar to the cucumbers, the smaller the veggie, the less seeds and moisture it's going to contain. So they're just going to be less likely to leak their moisture if you are prepping these for the whole week, which means you're going to have a less soggy salad, which is kind of what we always want to aim for. So we're just going to cut these up. And I don't use the chopper for the cherry tomatoes because they get squished. I have tried it before. It does not work. So like I said, we're doing 1 cup of these cherry tomatoes. And the good thing about the weather getting warmer, also, happy International Women's Day to everybody. I hope you are having an amazing day. It's sunny here in Toronto, which is amazing, and it's finally getting a little bit warmer. Everything's slowly melting, which is great, which means it's almost summer, and I love summer because that is when all the fresh produce is in season. So this is also one of my absolute favorite summer recipes because tomatoes are in season, cucumbers are in season. It's so fresh and flavorful then. But you can also make it all year like we are now, especially if you want something a little bit fresher. I feel like the second the weather starts getting warmer, I just start craving all the fresh salads and I'm a little bit more over like the comforting, like heartier dishes. So we're almost done these tomatoes. Another great option too is if you don't want to use chickpea pasta. There's a lot of, you could use normal pasta for sure, but you can also use like higher fiber pastas. I know there's a few brands out there that do have higher fiber pasta options as well, which is great. And you can always add chickpeas or beans just to boost the fiber. Like with all my recipes, I always recommend using whatever you have on hand. I never want you to go crazy looking for a certain brand or ingredient. For this one, like I said, I do recommend the chickpea pasta just because that's what I've always used, but totally up to you. That's why I love these giveaways so much because they allow you the chance to potentially try a new brand and maybe fall in love with it. So we are done the tomatoes. We are done the cucumbers. Now we are going to do our red onion. So we're using about half a red onion. I always say half for a medium red onion. So this is about a medium red onion. I know sometimes red onions become very large, so only use about a quarter. We usually want about like half a cup, I would say. So I'm just going to cut this first and then we'll use our little chopper. Can you see Leo in the video?
Yeah.
We have a kitchen helper today. I don't think he's been in the meal prep club before. How exciting. I also did a little bit more prep today. I feel like whenever the weather's nice, I just feel more motivated. So before this, I actually prepped my cottage cheese egg bites, which I will show you after I'm done chopping this. Okay, so for the onions, when I am using the chopper, if anyone else has a chopper at home, I usually cut it like this, like in half, and then I'll slice it again because I don't want really big chunks of onion. I know for me specifically, red onion can be a very strong flavor, and sometimes in salads it can be very overpowering. So I like to cut it as small as possible. And another tip, if you like the flavor of red onion but don't like it being overpowering, you can also dice them up and then soak them in some cold water for about 15 minutes before draining it. And that will create, it will make the like really strong onion flavor a little bit more mild, which is always a fun fact. And if you don't like red onions, you can also use green onions or white onions or even shallots. Shallots would be really good in this salad. Okay, so we're using about this much, which is about half a cup. Add that right into the bowl as well. And then we are going to add our spinach. So when it comes to a leafy green to act as a base of a salad, usually in all my pasta salads, I add some type of green just because I do, like I said, I want to make it a little bit more like a meal. I'm using spinach today. You also can definitely add kale. You could add arugula. I find leafy greens like arugula or lettuce do tend to get really soggy if stored over a long period of time. Spinach will get soggy, but when you cut it up really small, I actually really like it in a pasta salad because it really absorbs the dressing and it almost just becomes like cooked spinach. It's not bad, not like it's like decreasing the nutrients at all. But if you don't like it being soggy at all, kale's an amazing option. You can just dice it up really, really finely. Make sure you're removing the stems. I recommend using curly parsley, not dino or lacanto, lasiento. I actually don't know how to say that one, but that type of kale, the one that's like a darker green, because that one is a little bit more bitter and just won't taste the same. So we're gonna add about 2 cups of spinach. So I just do like 2 large handful and you just have to loosely chop it. Since I said it will get a little bit smaller once you add it with the dressing, you don't need to be super crazy about how small you're cutting it. Another great option too is if you like prepping the salad ahead of time but don't want it to be soggy like at all, you can always just prep the ingredients that we already did in the bowl with the feta and the chicken and the pasta and the dressing and then add the spinach when you're ready to eat it. So you could do like a base of spinach and then just add the pasta salad on top and it makes like a little bit more of a fresh version of the salad, which is another great option. I think we're going to be doing lots of pasta salads again this summer. I know last summer we did our powerful pasta salad series. So if anybody has any recommendations for any flavor combinations they'd like, we're posting a new one actually next week, I think. I'm pretty sure it's coming next week and I'm really excited about that one. I know you're going to love it. Once again, it's a high protein, high fiber one. And
Week after, yeah, week after.
okay, 2 weeks, I think. A little bit of a teaser for you on that one. But we have a lot of good recipes coming. So if you have any recommendations for any spring or summer recipes that you really want to see, always let me know either in the comments or my DMs or send me a message on Substack, however you want to reach me. I'm always open to suggestions. So in here we have our cherry tomatoes, red onions, cucumbers, spinach. And now we are going to add our pasta. So my pasta is already cool. If yours isn't, you can leave it out for a little bit more until it's cool. Another tip to cool it is you can just pop it in a metal bowl, a big metal bowl, as big as possible in the freezer. I say big because the thinner it is in the bowl. So if you have a small bowl and it's like really deep, the amount of pasta you have, it's just not going to cool as quickly. If you have a bigger bowl, it's spread out over a larger surface area, so it's going to be more likely to cool faster. You can just pop it in the freezer for like 10 minutes and it will be cool, which is amazing. So we're going to add our cooked pasta into this bowl. I always recommend with my pasta salads choosing a shape that's going to trap some of the dressing. So I say like the shells, fusilli, rotini, anything that's like either curved or has macaroni. Um, just like even penne would work. Just like I wouldn't recommend like spaghetti or linguine. Orzo would also work if you want like a very small option. But I always recommend like fusilli or shells ideally. So we're adding that into the bowl as well. And now we need to add our chicken. So my chicken, like I said, is already cooked, but I have not shredded it yet because I did want to show this on camera. I think we did a pasta salad for Meal Prep Club, maybe a few months ago. Chicken salad? I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of big.
yeah, we did the cranberry pecan chicken salad. So I know I showed this tip then, but if you weren't there for that one, all you have to do to easily shred your chicken is if you have a stand mixer or even a hand mixer, just add it to the bowl of your stand mixer or just a metal bowl for your hand mixer. Add your cooked chicken directly into the bowl and then just use your mixer on a low speed for about like 1 to 2 minutes just to mix it up and it will shred the chicken perfectly with very minimal effort. If you don't have any type of mixer, you can just use 2 forks to pull it apart. It's also an easy option. But I love using my stand mixer. I use the paddle attachment. If you have a hand mixer, you can just use both little things mixer things.
Yeah.
Mixer attachment arms. And then just do it at a low speed as well. But I'm just gonna close that, lock it, and then put it on like a 1 to 2 speed, usually about 1 speed. And then we'll just leave that to shred itself, which is amazing. While that's shredding, these are the little cottage cheese egg bites I actually already prepped today. So these are so easy. They've probably been my go-to meal prep breakfast recently. Whenever we have extra eggs or cottage cheese, all you have to do is really blend up eggs with some cottage cheese and spices until it's smooth, and then just pour it into, I haven't even washed this yet. Just pour it into a silicone baking tray. This one's from Amazon. It's, as you can see, it's a lot less deep than a standard muffin tray. It is a little flimsy, so you do have to put it on like a sheet pan to bake it, but just pour it in there, add any mix-ins you want. So today I just added some frozen spinach I just defrosted and some cheese. You could also add like deli meat, you could add bacon, you could add any type of cheese, you could add any veggies, and they're just an amazing source of protein to either have as a snack or add to a balanced breakfast. Each little egg cup has about 7 grams of protein if you follow my recipe. So it's just an amazing, really, really quick option to come together. And then I also just prepped some berries. Berries have really been on sale around here recently, so I just keep buying them. And it's funny, kept buying strawberries and they kept sitting in the fridge. Even though I love strawberries, it's just like the act of like having to wash them and cut them up like seemed like a lot of effort whenever I was hungry. So I've just started cutting them up ahead of time, washing them and mixing them all together and making a little berry salad. And I've been eating them so often. Like I eat like a whole container every single day because they're just such a great sweet snack. Okay, so look, my chicken is already done. This is what the chicken looks like. It's already shredded. So we're gonna add that into the bowl as well. Leo likes the chicken. Okay, so we have our chicken, we have all our veggies, we have our pasta. Now we're gonna add our feta cheese. So we're using about a 1/4 cup of feta cheese. Once again, like with all my salads, you can really measure with your heart. But I always buy, I think I've probably said this a million times, but go away. I always buy feta in brine because it stays fresher for longer and it just tastes a little bit more authentic. I actually can't get this one out. Tastes a little bit more authentic than the feta that is not stored in brine. Okay, so that's usually about a 1/4 cup. We're just gonna loosely chop that. You can also crumble it with your hands. I'll probably add a little bit more because I feel like I added more veggies and I love feta cheese. Another great option in the salad would be olives. I love like a little salty addition to salads. Okay, there we go. And I think my favorite part about this salad is how easy the dressing is. All it is a combination of pesto and lemon juice. You don't even have to mix it in a separate bowl. It comes together so easily, and it's just one of my favorite things to meal prep. Okay, so I'm gonna move this out of the way. Okay, now we have our pasta salad. And we're going to use, how much are we going to use? We're going to use 3/4 cup of pesto and then the juice of 1 lemon. If you want a little bit more of a lemon flavor, I find sometimes the juice alone doesn't add like as much freshness as I'd like. Sometimes I want a little bit more of a punch. You can also zest a lemon into it as well. I find adding lemon zest always really brightens up a dish. And when it comes to pesto, any pesto will work. Okay, we're adding more flavor. I typically use the Classico pesto just because that's like my favorite one at the grocery store near me. Apparently Kirkland also, like Costco. Yeah, I've heard the Costco one's amazing. We recently got a Costco membership, so we'll have to get it now because I still have not tried that. Um, but I've heard it's very good. You can also make your own if you like. Okay, we're gonna add about 3/4 cup. Oil everywhere. And you can measure this with your heart as well. I'm just going to be a little bit more accurate, just because why not? Okay. And it seems like a lot of pesto, but when you think about how much dressing you typically need for this salad, it kind of evens out because we made a lot of salad. This salad usually lasts me like a good 5 days. And with the chicken, I would say it usually will stay fresh for about 4 to 5 days. If you would rather keep the salad for longer, you can leave the chicken off and add it fresh if you would prefer to do that. The chicken's really the thing that obviously you have to be the most food safe about, and that's what's going to make this not last as long as something without, like a vegetarian option. Okay, that's everything. We added the lemon zest, we added our pesto, feta, chicken, chickpea pasta, cherry tomatoes, cucumbers, red onions, and spinach. And now we're just gonna mix it together. If you have like tongs, that would be amazing. If you have uh, anything else to mix it, a big spoon, that would also be good. You can also, like with any of my recipes with chicken, you can also substitute tuna. That would be an amazing option. Or you can make this completely vegetarian by just adding beans. So like beans like white beans or chickpeas both have a very mild flavor and are an amazing source of protein. Lentils are also a great option. Okay. I'm gonna mix that in. And this only took us like 27 minutes to make, and that's with me talking a lot. And we definitely could have done this quicker if I wasn't talking so much. And now we have lunch for the entire week. How amazing is that? Okay, so we have this. This is ready to go. You can always taste it if you feel like it's missing anything. Like I said, you can add more lemon juice, you can add lemon zest, you can add more pesto, you can add more feta. You can also add anything, sun-dried tomatoes, artichokes, olives. It's really yours to customize. It's an amazing base recipe, and we're ready for the entire week. So once again, thank you so much for coming to our meal prep club. I know this was a little bit earlier on a Sunday. If you like it better on the weekdays or a different time, let me know. And we'll see you next month. We'll confirm the day. And I think we have a really good giveaway for that one as well. So see you then. Thank you.